Didier Drogba was the ultimate boogeyman in the attack. In his prime, no defender wanted to face him because Drogba wasn't just scoring goals for fun. He was also dominating players and swatting them off like flies. His raw physical strength was unmatched. But as is often the case, a few players decided to try their luck. Was it bravery, foolhardiness, or just stupidity? Let's find out. Back in the day, Van Bommel was the master of dark arts. Primarily a defensive midfielder, Van Bommel excelled in his box-to-box movement. But more than that, he mastered the art of winding opponents up. If you were up against the Dutchman, you were better off learning how to control your emotions to avoid falling for his antics. But not our man Drogba. During a match between the Netherlands and Ivory Coast in 2006, Drogba and Van Bommel got caught up in a heated argument. But just when it looked like everyone was going to walk away and forget about the situation, Drogba decided to know what Van Bommel's balls felt like. Or maybe he actually thought about canceling the Dutchman's offspring. Van Bommel certainly felt the impact, but he'll be thanking his lucky stars that it wasn't worse than that, because this next player got more than he asked for. For the longest time, Nemanja Vidic and Drogba were at each other's throats. No thanks to the Man U-Chelsea rivalry. With both players being hard guys, it was always scary to see them clash. One time, Drogba took Vidic out in one swipe when they both contested for an aerial ball. But the Ivorian never apologized for the incident. Fast forward to the 2008 Champions League final, and both players were at it again. Following a heated exchange, Drogba slapped Vidic right in the mouth. As you would imagine, Vidic was absolutely pissed off and wanted to leave his mark on the Chelsea forward. It took the bravery of 4 men to hold Vidic off.
It's all push in. And then Vidic, look at Vidic, he's angry as it is, but Drogba gets involved, and one thing you can't do is raise your hands, as we all know.
So you have to see it was boiling under. It was boiling under all the time. John Terry should let Vidic go here, and then he'll end up getting sent off. Watch, Vidic goes for him.
It was a stupid thing to do because Drogba got sent off for his actions, and Chelsea ended up losing the final. Following the Champions League final loss to Man United, Chelsea had another bite at the apple and were 1 game away from the final. Up against Barcelona in the infamous 2009 Champions League semis, the Blues were denied a series of penalties before Andres Iniesta grabbed a 93rd minute equalizer to secure Barca's place in the final against Manchester United. Following the heartbreak and anger, Drogba lost his head and pretty much overreacted. However, to many fans, the Ivorian's anger was justified because the Blues were clearly victims of what looked like a UEFA stitch-up at Stamford Bridge. The first foul was on Malouda by Dani Alves in the 18-yard box.
Good play by Malouda, who goes down. Yeah, he's impeded him, he's given the free kick to Chelsea.
Shortly after was what looked like another penalty when Drogba went down, following a challenge from Eric Abidal.
Vardas helped it through, and Drogba controls. He's gone down, the referee looked at his linesman and doesn't award a penalty, as the Chelsea fans were paying for. My first reaction is a penalty.
The third one was a foul on Anelka in the 79th minute. The fourth, a handball against Gerard Piqué.
Anelka, is that handball against Piqué? The referee says no.
And the fifth one, yet another handball. This time from Samuel Eto'o.
Shirt as Lampard takes the corner and Czech was up there and got ahead to it. Ballack has a red appeal, and the referee says no. Confronts him out to appeal in his direction. Just as he's not interested the rest of the night. Any penalty appeal in his direction. The referee not interested.
Just like that, Chelsea lost the match. But Drogba was not just going to let it slide. What followed was a foul-mouthed outburst at Norwegian referee Tom Henrik Øvrebø after the final whistle.
And it is Barcelona who go through to the final, and Chelsea who have all the fury which Didier Drogba is directing at the referee now.
He's going to be...
And he's booked after the final whistle.
Well, as I said, I mean, I feel for the official, and I blame UEFA in many ways for it, because you need strong officials. Players have to keep their heads as well. There's no doubt about that. And Drogba's going to get himself in trouble. But UEFA have to appoint a strong official, Rob, to referee a game as big as this. And I don't think, with the greatest respect, that a referee from Norway is the strongest official you can put down. This is supposed to be the...
Drogba had to be restrained by manager who was hitting before storming off to the dressing room. The referee of Rebo admitted to UEFA officials that he made some major mistakes in the game, but Chelsea fans will be content with the fact that they got their revenge 3 years later in 2012. But for Drogba, he wasn't only fighting opponents and referees, he sometimes fought with his teammates too. In 2010, the Ivorian was chasing the Premier League Golden Boot, and he was willing to pull all the stops to become the highest goal scorer of the season. So when Chelsea was awarded a spot kick against Wigan, Drogba naturally wanted to relieve Lampard of his penalty duties. The Blues were already 1-0 up, and a win would guarantee them the title. Drogba asked to take the penalty, but Lampard refused to give it up. Lampard stepped up and converted. Drogba would, however, get his chances in the second half, netting in a second-half hat-trick to take his tally to 29 league goals for the season. As expected, the Blues boss Carlo Ancelotti scolded Drogba at halftime, and Drogba realized afterwards that he had made a big mistake in challenging Lampard for the spot kick. To his credit, Lampard defended his teammate, saying that he loved the hunger he saw from the Ivorian. Toward the end of the 2000s, Chelsea had already established themselves as a formidable team, both in Europe and the league. Drogba and Mikhail Ballack were part of that team, but we saw both teammates arguing out over a set piece. In a match between the Blues and Man United on April 26th, both players were desperate to take a free kick at 1-1, and with no one willing to budge, it resulted in a heated argument, as we can see here. Fortunately for Chelsea, Ballack scored a late goal from 12 yards to win the game, and the fact that he celebrated with Drogba made the moment even more iconic. Talk about two world-class players with so much passion for the game. After the match, both players downplayed the incident, explaining that it was an everyday occurrence in the sport. But I'll tell you what wasn't normal: two players fighting on a plane, almost causing some turbulence no less. Jose Anigo, who happens to be a former manager at French club Olympique Marseille, once revealed that a fight between Josamito and Drogba happened on a plane. The Marseille team was returning to France after a UEFA Cup quarterfinal win against Inter Milan in the 2003 and 4 season. Although Drogba and Mito were good friends, Mito was a known prankster and, on this occasion, went a bit too far with his shenanigans. Mito pranked a stewardess, but it didn't sit well with Didier. Upset with the act, the Ivorian confronted Mito, and a fight broke out. Speaking to RMC Sport in an interview, Anigo said the fight was so serious that it created some turbulence on the plane, which inevitably forced both players to settle down. They were a couple of heavyweights, normally they were friends, but at that point tempers flared between them, said Anigo. Drogba moved to Chelsea shortly after, and we all know the magic he created with the club. By December 2006, Chelsea had won the last two Premier League titles under Jose Mourinho. However, rival fans hated Drogba for going down too easily for a big man, but it was nothing compared to what we saw from Jens Lehmann when Arsenal locked horns with Chelsea. See, Lehmann was already notorious for his antics on the field over the years, but the German goalkeeper took it a notch higher when he clashed with Drogba. The game was goalless as the clock ticked towards the hour mark. Drogba found himself in the Arsenal penalty box, and with tempers boiling over at this point, Lehmann reacted to Drogba's appeal for a penalty by pushing him. Drogba's theatrics were on full display as he crumbled to the ground like a deck of cards. But when he saw no one was buying his story, the Chelsea man got up to his feet and bumped into Lehmann, who also responded with his own antics. We saw pure comedic gold from both players, and they definitely deserved an Oscar nomination for their acting. Towards the end of Drogba's career, he had learned so much from Mourinho's mental side of football that he ripped a page out of the playbook and psyched up Sacha Kljestan, making him miss a penalty. During Montreal Impact's game against the New York Red Bulls, we saw the veteran play mind games. Before the penalty was taken, Drogba took the ball away from Sacha and aimed a few chirps in his direction. Of course, he managed to get a reaction from Sacha, but not long after, Sacha saw a spot kick saved, to Drogba's delight.
The ultimate guessing game now. And now it's Drogba and Sacha Kljestan going at each other. That's a physical mismatch. Back away, Sacha.
Sasha Kljestan. Saved this time by Bush. He shot to the right. And a big-time stop by Evan Bush keeps the impact within one.
Drogba's time in the MLS wasn't always fun because some New York fans tried to heckle him at some point. Montreal Impact had just lost to the Red Bulls, so naturally Drogba was pissed. But to add insult to injury, the opposition fans started heckling him. Fortunately for them, it took a bunch of security guys to entreat the king and stop him from detonating on everyone. Throughout his career, Drogba had become such an intimidating presence that it took a frightening head injury during a Chelsea match against Norwich to remind us that he was human after all. In what was a scary moment around the hour mark, Drogba dropped flat on the ground after a mid-air duel with Norwich's goalkeeper. As we can see, Didier pretty much landed on his face and was unresponsive for several minutes, but thank goodness there weren't any long-term injuries from the collision. It could have been worse. There you have it. Drogba has more than earned a spot as one of the greatest Premier League players of all time. He was a big game player, a prolific striker, a fierce competitor, and a very passionate teammate, and anyone who dared to fight him almost always regretted it.